11 years ago this week or past week, my father passed away at I think 85. His passing did not really go well. He had dementia and a lot of physical issues in his last years, so it wasn't the prettiest thing. And I had a rocky relationship with my dad, I would say, with both of my parents. And I maybe not a rocky relationship as much as not much of a relationship. So passed away 11 years ago. I was there when he passed away, which was very sweet. And um, a few months later, I so a few months later, so 11 years ago, one day I went to a Met game in New York. I live in Cleveland now. I was in New York and I went to a Met game, and I got this crazy pain in the top of my head. And at first I thought I was like getting a sunburn. And I asked a friend I was with, like, is it like the sun really hot today? He's like, you're crazy. It's the spring. And I said, it's just weird. Like my head hurts, like a stabbing, crazy pain. And then I felt like my hair was on fire. Literally, like this feeling like your hair is on fire. And I'll never forget that. So I went home that day and I Googled um, ice pick headaches and hair on fire. And what came up was Bell's palsy. And it was interestingly connected to the Mets. There was an announcer for the Mets who got Bell's palsy. And I listened to him as he recovered. So anyway, I get these ice pick headaches and my hair is on fire and it says Bell's palsy, but I leave it go. I let it go. I don't really know what to do about it. But I will say the ice pick headaches are one of the most intense things I've experienced in my entire life. Like you'd be sitting there chatting on, like it would just jab into your skull. It was so crazy. Fast forward about 5 or 6 days, and I had a dentist appointment scheduled, and I went to the dentist, who is one of my dearest friends, old childhood friend, and I'm a pretty good patient usually, and I was just not comfortable in the chair, and he gave me, uh, lidocaine, and gave me an injection, and did his work. I woke up the next morning, and my face had collapsed, just collapsed. It's the craziest thing you can experience. Maybe you have experienced, maybe you have not. I like went into the shower and water just started pouring into my eye because my eye didn't close. And I tried to drink water and water literally poured out of my mouth. Like it was just the craziest, craziest thing. And I didn't know what to do about it. And I'm big on Google and researching, and there's not a lot to do about it. Um, and that was 11 years ago. And the thing about Bell's palsy is it tends to heal. It tends to heal in about 3 weeks, and everything returns to normal. And it's usually a stress-related issue. So Bell's palsy is about the 11th cranial nerve, the facial nerve, and it's related to shingles, similar thing. So anyway, I didn't heal after 3 weeks. I didn't heal after 3 months, and in fact, I haven't really healed in about 5 months in. So I used to smile, and nothing would happen on my bad side, right? Like this mirror image. My mouth just wouldn't lift. And then after about 5 months, my mouth started to lift. So you can see if you're looking at my face how one eye does not open, this one. And what's even crazier, I'm 57, but only one half of my face works, so my only one eyebrow works, which means 30 years from now, when I'm wrinkled, that side's just not going to wrinkle. And it's so weird, right? So my eye is closed, the skin doesn't work. For months, water would pour out of my mouth. I had to tape my eye closed when I slept at night, or else it would just dry out. And this is only in the first 3 months. I'm a yoga teacher. I get to my first yoga class, and after it happened, and I'll never forget, I walked in and a friend of mine, just gasped, saw my face and gasped. And there were 20 people in the room, and I have to teach. And so the point being, Bell's palsy was the single most intense experience of my life. It destroyed me emotionally for a long time. I would say I'm still not recovered in a lot of ways. I have some social anxiety to begin with. Bell's palsy magnified that by 10. Still, I kind of think I have let it go a little bit, but you meet people and all you think is they're looking at your mouth that doesn't work or your eye doesn't work. They're not seeing you, they're only seeing what you do not have or what doesn't work. And it's the only lens I was able to see myself through. And to be honest, still to this day, So when I started doing yoga in 1995, and I got to Jivamukti in the East Village in New York. And you walk in the door, and there was this big sign, and it said, "I am not this body." And that is the point of yoga, right? We are all one. We are all cosmic consciousness. We are all energy, and the body is an illusion. And we want to achieve nirvana, and we want to achieve, limitless energy and connection to the world. And I am not this body means we're all this body. We're nobody. We're all the same body, and et cetera, et cetera. And um, I was just confronted with how much I am this body. And growing up, I am a smart person, and I never took pride in my looks. I didn't think I was a bad-looking kid, but I thought I was a strange-looking kid of a sort. But I always felt good about myself. I felt good about the way I looked. And then Bell's palsy comes along, and it takes it from you. It just knocks you down, and all of a sudden, you look like someone different. You no longer see the same person in the mirror. You don't want to see the person you see in the mirror, and yet you're not recovering. I am not recovering. All right, so that's interesting stuff and miserable and awful. And now it's 11 years later, and this is who I am. And again, I'm not complaining. And recently somebody said, "Did you know he has Bell's palsy?" And someone, "No, I would never have thought it. I just thought he had an asymmetrical face." I said, "Yeah, that means I have Bell's palsy, right? If you see it as asymmetrical, that means it's odd." So anyway, I think you can tell I'm a pretty happy dude, so I'm not complaining too much. And I was married when I got Bell's palsy, and my love for my wife and her for me carried me through what I've gone through. And my kids, it's weird. Like my kids have both grown up with this face and not seeing me for who I think I was. I am not this body and all that. So the most interesting thing is about 5 years later, 6 years later, I started working with a healer. And this healer was a very interesting person who doesn't meet you, was all over the phone, and she just takes a paragraph about your life. And I actually forgot to mention Bell's palsy, so that's maybe a positive. But anyway, in the thing back, she meditated on me, and she's a medium. And in her report, she said I had shingles. And I went back to her and I said, "Oh, that's really interesting. I don't have shingles. I have Bell's palsy." She goes, "Oh yeah, very similar, 12th cranial nerve. What happened around the time you got the Bell's palsy?" And I said, at first I think I didn't even make a connection. I said, "Oh, my father died like 3 months before." She said, "Listen, that's your Bell's palsy. It's just everything happens for a reason. This is what I teach. When I meet someone in chronic pain, all I want to do is get the history. Why did it happen? When did it start? What's the reason, right?" So she said, she gave me this insight into my father's passing, and maybe I dealt with it well. Maybe I didn't deal with it at all. Maybe I got the Bell's palsy in relation to my father, but not because of the way I dealt with his passing. But here I am later, 11 years later, with an intimate connection to my father that I didn't have before he passed. And my mother passed a few years ago, and life is intense. And here I am, 11 years later, healthy, happy, but with half a face that doesn't work. And I have to wake up in the morning and love myself, because if I believe in yoga, I am not this body. I am part of a cosmic consciousness, and I'm just trying to, purify my energy a little bit more to get to tap into that consciousness a little bit as I go along. And I'm hoping in the long run, losing half my face, or, getting this problem or this gift, which I really don't want to call it a gift, was going to help me emotionally, even though I really do believe it destroyed me emotionally around other people and my sense of self and who I am and what I look like and if I'm attractive and et cetera, et cetera. Um, but I want to think that in the long run, everything happens for a reason and everything's for the best, and the learning I can do from it will take me far. So that's my story for the morning, the anniversary of my Bell's palsy. 11 years later, it's really the anniversary of my father's passing, which led to my Bell's palsy. At least that's what I think these days. So, hope everyone has a great day. Take care now.